Now, from the Lowcountry's news leader, this is Live 5 News.
In the last 45 minutes, a handshake between leaders of two opposite sides of an emotional fight. The call for peace between the Secessionists Party and Black Nationalist Group. That's in 5 minutes. But first,
you had a group on one side that was bad, and you had a group on the other side that was also very violent. And nobody wants to say that, but I'll say it right now. You had a group on the other side that came charging in without a permit, and they were very, very violent.
in the last 30 minutes, President Trump held a news conference at Trump Tower where he discussed the weekend violence in Charlottesville, Virginia. The president said he thinks there's blame on both sides and said not all who were protesting were neo-Nazis or white supremacists. He also stood by his first statement on Saturday, claiming it was a fine statement.
Right now, we continue to track Hurricane Gert as it makes its way away from the United States in the Atlantic. And while we don't have to worry about this storm bringing heavy wind and rain to our area, there is something else that we need to be aware of, keeping an eye out for. Rip currents. This is a live look at Kiowa Island, where there is a moderate risk of rip currents because of the hurricane. I'm in the First Alert Weather Center with our Chief Meteorologist, Bill Walsh. New information just in on this storm.
And the good news is this thing's staying way out to sea.
Yay.
What we will watch, though, will be moderate to high rip currents and rip tides. Let's go outside and take a look at what it looks like. This is the big picture now. You can see Gert actually now pretty good Category 1 hurricane on the way to maybe becoming a Category 2 well off the U.S. coast. As we take a look at this, this is the moderate to strong rip currents and rip tides that are going to be out here. So be on the lookout for that from South Carolina's coast right here in the Lowcountry all the way up across the mid-Atlantic and the Outer Banks up to the Delmarva as well. As long as the storm is to the east, could certainly see some strong rip tides. We'll continue to watch this. The deal is that's going to stay out to sea. That is good news. Our other big weather story, our temperatures. Right now it's hot in Moncks Corner, 89, 91 Somerville, 91 Walterboro. Do you care to see the heat index numbers? Yes. Watch this. 104 in Moncks Corner. This is hot. 103 in Somerville, 101 Walterboro, 105 Folly. Look at Sullivan's Island, 107. So dangerous heat out there. Slow down, take it easy, take breaks. It stays hot tomorrow. We'll talk more about that. Plus, eclipse weather all coming up live right here, new at 5. What about that drive? We've got an eye on that as well. It's First Alert Traffic. Let's go on outside and see what's going on the roadways. Here back toward the merge, a little bit slow. We had one breakdown right there, and this one accident. Actually, there's a couple up here in the Somerville area, mostly small ones. So we'll focus on the merge right now. Again, it is slow going both westbound and also on 526 on the westbound side. As we zoom out, you can see we definitely have a very slow go back over toward 526. Right here, as you take a look at the westbound side, we're looking at very, very slow, about 9 miles an hour. We'll keep you posted on that. Also back over here toward Leeds Avenue, very slow right there as you approach the Westmoreland Bridge at about 12 miles an hour. That's really slow. West of the Ashley, looking okay right now. A little slow coming around the round Holiday Inn as you make your way to the split. East of the Cooper, still a little bit slow on Johnny Dodds. Back down towards Ben Sawyer Bridge, also a little bit on the slow side. We'll have more on that, drive times, and another look at the forecast. And wait till you see some of these numbers coming up, so stick around.
Right now, a temporary ban on new development in James Island's commercial areas could come to an end without a majority of city council members voting at today's meeting. The ordinance took effect about 3 months ago after council approved the temporary ban, but it's back up now for a second reading. Our Alexis Simmons has the latest from council chambers on what could happen to the ban this time.
The temporary ban for development in James Island was actually put in place primarily to stop the construction of apartment complex until town leaders could figure out how to handle all the growth. The Planning Commission recommended the disapproval of the second reading, meaning that at least 3/4 of the council will have to vote in favor of the ordinance to pass tonight. If passed, people would not be able to build more than 4 units or 1,500 square feet of new development for at least the next 3 months. The council could also vote to modify the ordinance, but we'll keep you posted on Live 5 News with an outcome on that decision. I'm in downtown Charleston. Alexis Simmons, Live 5 News.
Right now, several groups here in the Lowcountry are responding to the weekend violence in Charlottesville. Seen here, people want to keep this far away from the Lowcountry.
Still, some local groups continue to call for the John C. Calhoun Monument to be removed, claiming he was a supporter of slavery. We have team coverage of the ongoing race relations conversations here in Charleston. Harv Jacobs was at a news conference by the National Action Network and the NAACP earlier today.
But in the last hour, a third news conference wrapped up. It was held by the Black Nationalists and the Secessionist group. Colby Satterfield is there. Colby, these two groups came together to call for ongoing peace.
Yes, Debbie, they did, and both men leading the group stood right behind me, and after having a conversation, Debbie, they shook hands. Now, they came up with these 4 goals that you can see here. Now, in part of these goals, it says to work to discourage violence between the public and the groups, and also to form an open dialogue between communities that traditionally have opposing beliefs, and also to come up with collaborative objectives that are beneficial to both organizations and the public at large. Now, Debbie, both of these groups stood up here and they said, quote, "No, we're not going to agree on a lot of things. However, there is an opposite understanding." And again, both of these groups said they wanted to come together to try and stop any violence from happening here in Charleston that happened over the weekend in Charlottesville. We'll have more coming up on this on Live 5 News at 6. But for now, I'm live in downtown Charleston. Colby Satterfield, Live 5 News.
No longer we will allow white supremacy in this town.
Those very strong words from Elder James Johnson earlier today. The violence in Charlottesville has sparked more calls today to remove the John C. Calhoun statue from Marion Square. Our Harv Jacobs is live at that statue. Harv, the NAACP and National Action Network want it to come down.
Statues say that it's all about heritage and not hate. John C. Calhoun was a strong supporter of slavery. NAACP Charleston chapter president Dot Scott said, quoting now, "Separating Confederate heritage from racial hatred today is like trying to separate grits from the water they're cooked in. It's impossible," end quote. This afternoon, the National Action Network held a news conference. As you just heard, an emotional National Action Network state president, Elder James Johnson, said he is willing to die to stop white supremacy in Charleston. That's a quote. Both the NAACP and National Action Network want the state's Heritage Act to be repealed. Under that act, only the state legislature, a 2/3 majority of both the Senate and the House, can approve whether removing a statue or taking it down totally. Now, the network plans to hold a march on January 9th in Columbia to try to repeal the Heritage Act. That day happens to be the first day of the new legislative session. Live in downtown Charleston, Harv Jacobs, Live 5 News.
Harv, thank you. Authorities say charges will be brought against demonstrators who took down a Confederate monument during a protest last night in Durham, North Carolina. The Durham County Sheriff's Office says it will use video to identify suspects after this 1924 monument came crashing down. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper tweeted, "The deadly violence in Charlottesville is unacceptable," and he says there's a better way to remove the statues and Confederate monuments.
A Georgia lawmaker is continuing the debate over the Confederate monuments, calling for the removal of Confederate carvings at Stone Mountain. Stacey Abrams tweeted, "The carvings are a blight to the state of Georgia and should be removed." Stone Mountain's website says the carvings depict Jefferson Davis, Robert E. Lee, and Stonewall Jackson.
Changes coming for those of you who use Berkeley County water and sanitation. Starting today, you're going to be paying more for your water. Berkeley County raising their water rate by 15%. This means you'll see an average increase of about $1.62 on your monthly bill. This change comes following the new county budget. The raise is the first water rate increase since 2008.
Mr. Jones, I made the world's biggest mistake the day I stopped you, and I owe you the world's biggest apology.
That from a former state trooper, Sean Gruber, today in court where he was sentenced after shooting a man during a 2014 traffic stop. Gruber pleaded guilty last year to assault and battery and the shooting in which the victim survived. Gruber was sentenced to 12 years in prison, but that was suspended to 5 years with credit for time served. Right now, 4 people, including 3 children, are recovering after a massive tree fell on top of them at New York's Central Park. Authorities say all 4 are expected to be okay. Witnesses say the tree fell as the 4 were walking, and 2 of the children were in a double stroller. They had to be rescued from underneath the tree's branches. Authorities say they still aren't sure what caused the tree to come down.
Right now, drivers in Charlotte dealing with traffic issues after a massive sinkhole opened up on a busy road. You can see the sinkhole right here, and authorities are urging drivers to avoid the area. Transportation officials say it could be weeks before the roads are reopened. It could be 3 days before they know exactly what happened, and that means nobody will be able to travel on the roads during that time. Trident United Way says it's prepared to donate money to lowcountry school districts to help with literacy, with reading. Next at 5:30, how those donations will help school children stay on track with their reading.
Next at 5, a Ladson man shot and killed. Investigators trying to figure out the relationship between him and those involved. The previous calls made to police about the scene of the crime. We'll explain.
First Alert Weather, sponsored by ServiceMaster.
In the last few hours, the Berkeley County coroner identified the man shot dead in a Ladson backyard. 23-year-old Zachary DeBanzo was found with a gunshot wound. He was discovered in the yard of a Meese Road home early in the morning. Karina Bolster is live at the scene right now. Karina, details are still pretty limited right now.
Debbie, they are at this time. Investigators are still trying to determine the relationship between all of the parties involved. Just about 20 minutes ago, we saw several people coming in and out of the home, bringing things to their car. But as you can see right behind me, it is pretty much silent right there. What we do know is that deputies responded here to this home just before 6 o'clock this morning for a reported shooting. Now, one neighbor tells me she heard arguing earlier this morning before the gunshots even went off. Now, a spokesperson for the Berkeley County Sheriff's Office says they've been called out to this house several times over the last few months, and actually in the last couple of minutes, the spokesman sent out an email giving us a brief rundown of some of those calls dating back to September. We know that they've been out here at least 4 times for things such as narcotics complaints, disturbance complaints, and also a suspicious person. Now, coming up at 6 o'clock, hear what one neighbor had to do in order to prevent unwanted visitors from knocking on her door late at night. We'll have the latest on the investigation as well. Live in Ladson, Karina Bolster, Live 5 News.
The families of the 22 people killed in a terrorist attack at an Ariana Grande concert 3 months ago will each receive $324,000 from money donated by the public. The money is from the We Love Manchester Emergency Fund, which has raised more than $23 million since the attack in May. An additional $4.5 million will go to those who were hospitalized by the attack.
The WWE says legend Ric Flair is out of surgery and recovering after being admitted to the hospital yesterday. Authorities with the entertainment group say the surgery was not heart-related and was a success. Flair's daughter took to social media thanking everyone for the well wishes and said she will update Flair's fans as soon as she can.
Now, your First Alert forecast from Live 5 News.
We are talking really about a very dry but hot afternoon. We gave you the first alert to during the Twitter feeds that I gave a little while ago. Certainly Joey was talking about this at lunchtime. Even early this morning, I know he was talking about giving you the first alert to the heat today, and that's kind of where we're at. And right now, radar very, very quiet out there, so we'll focus on what's going on outside. Live picture from the Charleston Harbor Fish House Sky Cam, Charleston Harbor Resort and Marina out there, looking very nice. 91 degrees. It is toasty even downtown as we take a look at some of the numbers. North Charleston 92, Sullivan's Island 91, 90 out at Folly, about 91 out in Walterboro. Upper 80s, Moncks Corner, King Street, Georgetown 91. Watch what happens when we take a look at the heat index numbers. Boy, that's hot. How about Georgetown 104? Sullivan's Island, Mount Pleasant 107, 103 down toward North Charleston, 107 Beaufort, 101 out in Walterboro, 103 in Somerville. So bottom line, It is very hot, dangerous heat. Slow down, take it easy, take breaks, and we'll certainly continue to track this heat into the next couple of days. As we go hour by hour this evening, slow cool down. By 6 o'clock, only about 90 degrees, 7 o'clock, 86. So if you're out trying to wash the car, cut the grass, even after work, throw that in your planning. It's going to be slow to cool. Talking about 84 at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 83. And again, not much of a chance of a shower to pop up right here. On the weather map, we do have a weak trough just out to our west, a little boundary out there. Bottom line is going to be the heat over the next couple of days. And we're not going to rule out a pop-up storm, but we don't have a giant chance of that. At 6 o'clock in the morning, it's just going to be mild and muggy. I put the clock into motion. By lunchtime, look at this. Hazy, hot sunshine. Not a lot of relief, and even through the evening, look at this. Very, very dry, but on the hot side. So overnight tonight, 78 fair, warm, mild, and muggy. On the flip side, 95 for tomorrow. Woo! That's a hot Wednesday. Definitely be careful out there. Hazy, hot sunshine. High heat index values around 105 to 107, maybe 110, depending. We'll let you know if any heat advisories are issued. On the waterway, southwest wind at about 5 to 10, mixture of sun and clouds. About 91 degrees out on the beaches. Low tides early in the morning at about 9:25. The rip current right now is at moderate, actually. And again, be very careful out there as we take a look at the tropics. Speaking of the tropics, let's talk about Gert, and that's why the rip current is at moderate for, say, South Carolina up in toward a high up into North Carolina. But again, an 80-mile-an-hour hurricane, 33.7 north, 71.2 west. We'll focus on the track of this thing. It stays out to sea. And again, it might become 90-mile-an-hour hurricane. The good news is it stays out there. We're not going to worry too much about that one. That's certainly good news. But elsewhere in the tropics, I am focusing on 3 areas. One that just came off Africa, this one, and this wave out here to the west. These have about a 40% chance to develop and about a 20% chance on the other one. Bottom line is getting active in the tropics. We'll let you know right away if anything's upgraded or changes. And whenever tropical weather is a story, the hurricane experts right here at Live 5 are right here for you. All right, let's talk about our weekend first. And again, 40% chance on Friday, 92. Saturday, 91. This is a big weekend. This is the eclipse weekend, as we're calling it. Sunday, 40% chance, 91. And as we deep dive into the 7-day forecast, this is the deal. For the next couple of days, very hot, 95, 94. So be careful out there. Slow down in the heat. We talked about the upcoming weekend. And Monday, 30% chance near 90. That is hot. And as far as the eclipse weather goes, let's see what it's going to be looking like. Actually, I'm going to bring out a different one over here. It's going to be Monday. I'll get back to it later. But Monday is just going to be downright hot as we take a look at the eclipse weather and the tips. By the way, never look without the glasses. Very, very important. Of course, we'll be out to Joe and other places kicking it off on Monday. All right, let's talk about Traffic Tracker. And let us take a look now at what we have out there as we take a look at the roadways. And again, very busy in some places, not so much in others. As we take a look at our quick look cameras, we're talking about Ashley River bridges. Right now, a little bit busy coming into town and out of town, but not too bad as you make your way over there toward the Round Holiday Inn. And the merge has been very, very slow. Still very slow. You can see it backed up on the westbound side of 26. And 526 on the Don Holt Bridge right now is working out pretty nice. It's rolling along. That's certainly great news. Coming up new in a few minutes, we'll have an update on your drive times.
We're just 6 days away from the total solar eclipse, and there are still some places you can get those special eclipse glasses. The Charleston County Library urges you to head to their website, ccpl.org, to see when each branch will be handing out the eclipse glasses. The main branch of the library will also host a solar eclipse safety event at 3 different times this coming Saturday, and each participant will receive a free pair of glasses. Those programs are scheduled for 11 a.m., 1 p.m., and 3 p.m. at the library, the main library downtown on Calhoun Street. Live 5 will have you covered on Eclipse Day. We will be live starting next Monday at noon, right through the total eclipse and into the evening. We will be all over the Lowcountry, including at the Joe downtown, in Georgetown, in North Charleston, in Moncks Corner. Be sure to tune in right here at noon on Monday.
All right, we have a reminder for those of you who still may have some questions before school gets started on Thursday. In Charleston County, the district's back-to-school hotline is operating during business hours. You can call through Friday between 8 in the morning and 5 o'clock in the afternoon with any questions you may have about registration, transportation, or start times. Call the number on your screen if you have any concerns. And it's not just Charleston County that goes back to school on Thursday. Berkeley County students will also be welcomed back this Thursday as well. A reminder, both districts will be closed on Monday for the solar eclipse.
Other Lowcountry schools will welcome back students a week from today, the day after the solar eclipse. Colleton County, DD2, DD4, Georgetown, and Williamsburg County schools will all start classes on Tuesday, August 22nd, and teachers from all the districts are already back in the classroom preparing for your students. For all of this information, including start times and bus routes, be sure to head to live5news.com. We've got all the information you need as your kids prepare for the new school year. Just head to the website and click on the big red box.
All right, first alert traffic. We are getting you home throughout the afternoons. We take a look at 526 right now, about 39 to 40 minutes changing right there as you see our live traffic from Mount Pleasant over to West Ashley. Not too bad heading over to Mount Pleasant. Now, as we take a peek at West Ashley, Somerville, pretty much downtown, not bad, but downtown to Somerville, you can see we are still talking about 35 minutes, and that's, you know, really from the merge is a 17 minute ride to Somerville, still about 20 minutes from downtown to the merge, so we have that backup right there. And again, as we take a look at 17 overall, some of the drive times right there around about 16 to 20 minutes, depending on which way you're headed. Much more coming up with our traffic tracker right here in the next half hour.
You're on your side. National Safety Council officials say after years of decline, traffic deaths are now back on the rise. More than 18,000 people have been killed on roads here in the United States this year alone, and authorities say there are three main issues that are causing these deaths: distracted driving, driving under the influence, and speeding. Authorities stress the need for you to have more discipline when you're behind the wheel.
Nobody's standing still here.